The latest addition to John Aspinall's animal family lives just outside Canterbury. Jelta is a baby gorilla, rejected by his mother. It happens rarely, but then the choice is between hand-rearing or death. Jelta's 3 months old. Melanie Gage is hand-rearing him.
Starting to introduce SMA White, which is just for hungrier babies as a night feed, just that he's going to sleep right through the night, because at the moment he's waking up a couple of times in the morning. If he has the white as a night feed, that should fill him up and see him right through, which will be nicer for me.
Jelta is with Melanie 24 hours a day, at home and at work. He's thriving.
He's 5 kilogram. He is teething at the moment and he tends to just chew on the teat quite a bit to relieve it. He's got a, which is what you're doing now, isn't it? Okay. He's only just really starting to, you know, recognise places and people and get some strength. I mean, give it another couple of months and he'll be running riot. But, he's just he's finding his strength and he's trying to stand up a lot of the time now and do things, but he can't actually do a lot on his own. And it doesn't look like he's going to take this bottle.
Of all the breeds in John Aspinall's family of animals, the gorilla is one of his favourites. It's always been that way, ever since he forged a relationship with a giant silverback gorilla called June.
The first time anybody had been able to go in with an adult male silverback, with all his family there and wives and everything, he was my favourite of all my animals. I loved him the most. Why? Who knows? The biochemistry of that sort of thing. But he was a great figure, a great character.
Aspinall, now battling with cancer, tours his parks and visits his gorillas at least once a week.
When he was a little boy, he came to us when he was 14 months old, with hairless, the most terrible experience he must have had. He remained incredibly reliable, friendly, affectionate, and majestic. Very majestic and huge. He's 475 pounds in weight. He was the biggest we had, but he also had a very grand personality, and he and I had an understanding with each other.
The understanding is built from birth, but as Melanie's found, hand-rearing has its drawbacks.
Your social life is just non-existent. It's a lot of hard work. It's incredibly rewarding, you can't take that away at all, but it's also very, very difficult, especially like I'm only 22, just to give up a year of your life and look after babies when it's not my choice.
When you say it's not your choice, it's something that you just fell into?
Well, it's part of my job, which you take on board, but it's not like, you know, I chose to get pregnant and I've had a baby. It's, you know, it's a baby that's I've fostered. A baby that bites and pulls my curtains down and wrecks my house.
How does he wake you in the night? Does he scream?
Quite happy when he wakes up. He sort of, you can hear him rattling around with some of the toys in his cot or bashing the sides. I mean, they only really scream or cry when they're frightened. And he only tends to do that when he goes and meets the other gorillas. So he'll get used to that though.
Every day, Jelta goes to work with Melanie to Howlett's, where she's a keeper. He's the second baby she's hand-reared. The first was Quaqua.
He's a brilliant baby compared to Quaqua. But Quaqua was 6 months old when he came out, and straight away there's the trouble of, you're definitely not my mum. And Quaqua was nearly dead when we had him, so it was a good battle for the first month just to get him to respond to any treatment or any sort of feeds. Whereas this one from day one is just taken to a bottle and taken to me.
Jelta is already being introduced to other gorillas, including Quaqua.
He has to be bullied to become a gorilla. He has to learn. I mean, when he's old enough, he'll do it to the next one, and it's just part of them growing up, really. He doesn't actually do a lot. He's just going to sit there and watch And they're not always going to come up to him. I mean, they get so excited that there's someone in there anyway. But it's just so that he watches and understands how to play and behave like a gorilla. This is Quaqua, the one that I also hand-reared. As you can see, he's a lot bigger, haven't you? Hey. I mean, really, we just sit down and let them, if they want to interact, they'll interact.
It's nice if you get a little squabble, because it's important for them to get emotional extremes, like quarrels and love, and too much placidity is not the best thing in the world. They're such a placid animal, anyway. That's Ambam over there. And where you see that brown saddle on them, that is where it will go silver. That's what turns silver. If you shove them with a family, females, they probably change colour at 13, but if they are bachelors, probably 15.
Over the years, Aspinall's relationship with Joom developed along very human lines.
I found out bribery is one of the constant successful patterns of human behaviour, so when I went in with him, I always went in with bribes, with beautiful French chocolate or freshly made toffees. A lady up in Cumbria, a place called Penrith, who makes special fudge and toffees for the gorillas. And I always took these in with me, you know, because I always wanted to be thought of as a nice uncle. Now as a boy, my uncles always gave me presents and money, 10 shillings or something. So I loved my uncles, cupboard love. The best form of love, by the way, is cupboard love, not to be despised. But once I forgot to take him his treats, I clean forgot. And it wasn't until I was in there I realised, and he came up and he patted in my pockets and all around me. And then he realised I hadn't got anything. He gave me quite a nasty bite. And enough to hurt, not of course enough to do me any sort of damage, but as if to say, you've forgotten my treats. Don't forget them again, and I never did. The rest of his life, when I went in with him, I went well armed with bribes.
Bonding has always been at the heart of everything that happens at Aspinall's animal parks.
During your illness, it must be so difficult for you not to be able to go in with the larger creatures.
Oh yes, that's been very sad for me, because I felt a deep urge only at Port Lim. There's one of the young males that's gone over there, gorillas, always played with him. Every week he'd come and play with me. Kush. And I looked at him and he gurgled at me, and as if to say, why aren't you coming in? And this, you know, is the way they look at, when I had the scars here on my head from the tumours, and this, they used to look at me. And they vary, they vary as much as we do in our character and disposition and personality, the same variation. Though it's in with a much more attractive parameters than human variation, thank God. But, I mean, one or two of them showed genuine concern. You could see that they were worried, you know, don't like the look of that, what is it, sort of thing. And I just gurgle back at them to say it's all right, you know, but I'm very touched by their concern and their interest in what's wrong with it.
Aspinall's policy of sending gorillas back into the wild appears to be working. He set up a colony in the jungle in the Congo.
There's 61 of them here and 23 of them in Africa at the moment. So I don't love all gorillas equally. Far from it. I mean, there's some I dislike. There's several, 2 or 3 gorillas I'm not very fond of at all. And this applies right across this, you know, wherever you're thinking of the high mammals, you can't like them all. I mean, there's some you prefer to others. Just like in the classroom, I mean, you like some of your members of your class and you dislike others, and you're indifferent to others.
Django, the baby gorilla, has been hand-reared by General Manager Peter Litchfield. He's now being moved into a cage with other larger gorillas.
No, he's not happy, and he's not likely to be happy for a few days yet before he settles in. You know, he's been over at Howlett's with the same female gorilla since he was 17 months, and he's now coming up for 5.
It's a bit like leaving home, really.
Oh yeah, first day at boarding school. This, I think. All right. Yeah. Man. Where are you? What have we done to you?
Django spent the first 9 months of his life in Peter Litchfield's home. He, again, was rejected by his mother.
Any chance, do you think, of this one ever going back to the wild?
It's a possibility, although he's very important to us genetically, because both his parents, which are here at Howlett's, were actually wild caught, and so he's the offspring from 2 wild caught animals, so therefore genetically he's important to us. John Aspinall really was the first one to ensure that he kept his gorillas in groups, which is what they do, and get the makeup of the group right. And then from that, he's had good success. He designed good cages. Basically, they're like a cube, and they used the whole area. Just recently, with these male groups, we've sort of diversified somewhat into an open plan with a ha-ha ditch. And it gives, obviously for the boys, it gives them a lot more room to move around, and lots of climbing frames and things to do in there.
Boys behaving badly, you mean?
Boys behaving badly indeed.
Litchfield is responsible for all the animals in Howlett's and Port Lympne. He's just back from the Far East, sent there when Aspinall was asked to help in the crisis caused by the devastating fires that swept Kalimantan and Sumatra. He was able to help, in particular, homeless and bewildered monkeys.
It was a dreadful business. I think probably the worst situation anything or anybody can face is fires. You know, and if they start up in a circle, or get both sides of you, and they just don't know where to go or what to do.
How many monkeys did you bring back?
17 in all. We have banded langurs. There's 2 subspecies of banded. One is a mitered langur, which is a grey one, and the brown banded Melolophus. Also, while I was there, I did in fact pick up a small group of grizzled leaf monkeys, which in actual fact come from Java.
When they arrive, new monkeys go straight into quarantine. Keeper Ernie Thetford.
The quarantine animals that come from outside the UK have to go through rabies quarantine. This is a 6-month quarantine. We also do a common sense quarantine where you would look for any other bacterial pathogens and parasites. Obviously you don't want to have good populations set up, you don't want to bring new animals in which would upset that balance. We have just imported 1 mitered langur in the last month, and he appears to be a mature male, so it shouldn't be too long before we're in the situation of having purebred mitered langurs, which will be the first ones born in captivity in the world. Yeah, there's a lot of problems in captivity, but more and more people realise that the problems are there in the wild, and more than you kind of imagine. There's a very sort of romantic, sentimental view that the wild is a perfect kind of environment, and it's obviously not nowadays with forests being decimated and animals being shot right, left and centre. But some of the situations in captivity are so restrictive that it does create its own set of dilemmas.
Is that why you work here?
I work here because this is one of the most perfect captive situations for animals, and they do get the best of what is generally available in captivity.
Zoos keep in close touch, particularly over the exchange of animals to freshen bloodlines. Today, a lemur is being transferred from Kent to Hampshire, from Howletts to Marwell. Keeper Paul Irvin.
We've got a young female which we hope to pair up, so hopefully he'll match her, so which would be nice.
It's lovely.
It's hopefully going to be unrelated to the ones we've got, which is the idea, you know, to try and reduce inbreeding and keep the lines going and sort of improve the genes and everything. So hopefully, you know, that will help. Lovely.
There's a bit of food in there, but that means what you're doing.
Yeah, brilliant, great, lovely. Okay. Thanks so much.
Meanwhile, after 3 weeks, Peter Litchfield's Django is settling in well. Keeper Philip Bridges.
He's done exceptionally well. We put him in with 2 young males, and they've got on like a house on fire. Unfortunately, we had to leave him for a few days because he got a bit of a lung infection, but once he's got over that, introductions went no problem at all. He probably would have tended to show off a bit, I think, with Pete about, you know, because his dad's there, and you know, he sort of felt a bit more protected, I think, yeah. And he does sometimes get upset as well when Pete's here, then he goes. He sort of goes off hooting and, you know, wants him to come back, basically. It's not an ideal thing to do, really, with gorillas, to hand rear them, because they become ungorillaized. A lot of the skills that they develop as they grow up in a group just aren't there, and you know, it's a lot harder for them to settle down. They tend to try and be domineering over the others, but it usually doesn't work. They're sort of seen as outsiders, and they can be picked on quite a bit sometimes as well.
Do you think that's going to happen to Django?
I don't think so. No. I mean, because he's the way he was sort of introduced back into the gorilla society. That's helped him a lot. But obviously, you know, he's quite humanised because he's had a lot of contact with humans. But he's also been around gorillas at a very young age as well. He was sort of introduced in around about a year old, I think it was. So and also been taken in progressively, you know, up until he was about a year old with other gorillas. So he has learnt some skills, but obviously not all of them. But hopefully with the 2 young males he's in with now, he'll learn them as he gets older.
The style set by Aspinall, the bonding and the roomy enclosures, has its critics, but it's being observed and emulated by bigger and richer zoos. Mike Lockyer.
There are a number of places who have made quite close copies of our enclosures, and I mean, I've been to places where they talk about it as our Howletts gorilla complex, and again, they may not be identical, but they have learnt from what they've seen here.
The tomatoes?
Yeah.
And it's all very much a family affair. They gather at Howletts every weekend. Aspinall's half-brother James Osborne runs the casinos.
Organically grown.
Beside him, Aspinall's son Damien.
I'm not the star my father is.
He carries on the family tradition, like father, like son.
Been summoned. For me, it's a feeling of complete relaxation. Probably the only time in the week that I truly relax. I sort of drift into their world and sort of become an honorary gorilla. And it's an extraordinary feeling, really, to be amongst the gorillas like that. But the value for gorillas is they see a friend, and it makes a more interesting week for them. And for me, it's the same thing. I mean, I'm going to see my friends. When we were very young, we used to go for walks across the park. My memories of a child of playing with tigers and wolves and gorillas, and it's not something I feel I've ever had to learn. It's something I feel that it's natural within me.
A gift?
I don't know if it's a gift, but it's natural. I think there's people who can be natural with animals and people who aren't.
Kim was a few months, about 9 months, just under a year.
Did you ever, even as a child, before you fully understood, did you ever resent the attention that the animals were getting?
I'd be lying to say if if at some points as a child you don't resent getting the attention that you want all the time from your father, but probably no more than a brother and sister resent their mother or father not getting the attention they want when their sister or brother's getting it. So, but no, I've always admired him.
Throughout his life, Aspinall has never been shy of introducing his family at the earliest opportunity to his friends, the gorillas. That applied to his granddaughters at 18 months and even younger.
We've got a little granddaughter born into the family a week ago, called Clary. She's 1 week old. Well, within a week or two, she's going in with the gorillas. They see my daughter-in-law Louise as an honorary female gorilla, and she's had a little baby, and then they'll accept her in part of the group. They're very gentle with the babies. The baby's very safe in there with her.
I don't think there's anywhere else like it in the world.
One day he won't be here anymore.
It is a responsibility. I mean, the collections are growing, and it's absolutely clear that in my lifetime I want to, buy more land and have more animals and put more animals back into the wild and have bigger reserves in the wild and try and leave my children something to worry about.
There's a species I'm in love with gorillas, but actual 61 of them, there's probably 2 or 3 that I'm not that much very keen on. So, you don't love them all. It's just an absurdity. Like somebody said to you, I have 62 great friends. You laugh at him because nobody has more than really. They're just deluding themselves if they think they have more than about half a dozen close friends. And by a close friend, I mean somebody who's going to come and help you when you're in need. And so with the gorillas, there's a completely different approach to every gorilla. I feel differently about every one.
Joom, perhaps his favourite of all time, died in 1997.
But the ones I've known the longest have probably the closest to my heart. And there's some that have been here 40 years. And several that have been here 38, 37 years. And of course, they're part of my life, It's like, and they'll outlive me, no doubt, most of them.
How is this place going to survive without Gambler's Gold?
I don't think you need Gambler's Gold to succeed. If you're talking about making money, I think there's plenty of people in the business world who succeed without being mad, rash gamblers. At every point in one's life, one is prepared to take gambles.
But $4 million a year is a lot of money.
4 million a year is a lot of money, but I'm prepared to accept that responsibility, as I know James Osborne is. This place will survive for 100 years if we can get it right, or more. I think it will become the mecca of wildlife parks. I think people will come from all over the world to see how animals should be looked after.
New baby Jelta is preparing for the winter.
He's got his jumper on, and it's, unlike his mother, I'm not covered in really thick hair, dense hair, so no comments. And I can't provide him with the warmth, so he's got a jumper on just to make sure he doesn't get a cold.
But how does Melanie feel when eventually the baby leaves home? Her home, that is, as Kwakwa did.
When you get to the stage where you go to come out of the cage and they're not interested, that's when you know they're ready to spend all the time in there. And that happened on Sunday, and we left him there overnight, and I was alright as I left home and as I left work, and when I got home there's just like bottles, nappies, everything that was his all there, and you think, wow, he's not there anymore. It was quite sad. The first night I was like, wow, I wasn't ready for it, wasn't prepared at all.
Did you cry?
Yeah, I did the first night.
Melanie will care for Jelta for the next 9 months.
Can still pick up anything that humans carry, like colds or viruses, and you've just got to be ever so careful. So I think it's bedtime for you, mister.
Animals are dangerous. Please do not cross the safety barrier.
Look, it's nose up.
It's not called a nose, is it? It's a trunk, isn't it?
It's got animals in it.
We're going to go and have a look at something else then.
The relationship between people and animals lies at the heart of everything that happens here at these Kentish animal parks. John Aspinall cares for and protects more than 70 of the most endangered species in the world. He's always treated them, at the very least, as equals.
And I do it because I like to do it, no other reason. I haven't got a death wish, if that's what you mean. I wouldn't have survived to the age of 60 if I had a death wish. I'd like to live till I'm 75.
Aspinall sees echoes of his own character in the tigers he admires so much. Today, as he fights cancer, he has to conserve his own energies anyway.
A great cat, the tiger or lion, will be inactive anyway, 20 hours out of 24. And this is a wonderful provision of nature, that a creature so powerful. Forget about man's recent 10,000-year advance. Before that, the tiger was the absolute overlord of the forest, including the humans, not very many in those days, in their little villages and so on, lived in awe of the tiger. And the tiger could do more or less what he wanted. And the fact that they are essentially an idle species was a great provision, because if they were like humans, like American businessmen, active all day long, heaven knows what havoc they would have caused.
I sense a certain sympathy in you for the idleness of the tiger.
Yes, because I'm very idle myself. And I was born idle, you know. I'm a late riser. I couldn't get, when I was younger, I would stay up very late gambling at night. But really, most of the males in my family are like the big cats. They work when they have to. But rather like a tiger, if sufficiently under pressure, I can work. And I can do what I have to do.
His weekly tour of the parks is to ensure that things are running as he wants it, and, quite simply, to keep in touch with the animal friends he knows by name. There are fewer than 3,000 black rhinos left in the world. 15 of them are at Port Lim.
Come on, Edo. Come on. Come on. Come on.
Among the treats today, chocolate butties.
Come on, then. Come on. Give me some more chocolate, please, James. Behind you there. We give the gorillas the best Swiss and Belgian chocolate, because they're more discerning on the chocolate than the rhinos. This is the ordinary common chocolate eaten by human beings. This is nothing very special about it.
How did you discover they liked it?
Well, we've been feeding them chocolate for 25 years. I think it just took a trial and error basis, really. But certainly no other place gives them chocolate. But
the bread comes straight from the local shop.
It's not, as you see, it's not past its sale date. It's just what wasn't sold yesterday, that's all. So it's surplus, and you get it we buy it for, Robert, what do you pay for this? 4p?
A loaf.
5p a loaf. 5p a loaf, instead of what is this to the housewife in the supermarket?
I'm 70p a loaf,
70p.
isn't it?
That makes it possible to feed. Otherwise, I don't think we could afford. We used for years to get fresh bread, Robert. We used to pay 20,000 a year for our bread.
We had a baker make it specially for us.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name's Berry, and I work with the black rhinos here. I'm just going to talk for about 10 minutes on what
Berry White, former battle schoolgirl, is in charge of Aspinall's rhinos.
Now, this lad's name is Bringo.
How old do they live?
Well, he's only 5, but a good age for a rhino would be between 35 and 40. So, the oldest one we've had died at about 35, 36. So that's a good age of captivity.
Do they have any predators in the wild?
Well, man has been their biggest predator. Basically, it's only the calves that sometimes get taken by hyenas or lions. The white rhino went down to under 100 in numbers, so they're now up to about 6,000 or 7,000. So it's not beyond saving, but it's a bit of a shame that we almost left it till the last hour to try and save these wonderful animals. Most of them have been wiped out in the last 30 years. They've been poached for their horns. In the Far East, they're believed to have medicinal properties, and that's culture that's gone for centuries and centuries. It's difficult to change, but in about 30 years they went down in numbers from about 80,000 to 3,000 in Africa today. So you're running away from me, girl. Hello, boss. It's believed to have aphrodisiac properties. It's supposed to cure fever. It's illegal, but there are medicine shops all over the place in China selling rhino horn. In the Yemen, the young men, as part of their costumes, they have these big daggers, and it's supposed to be very auspicious for them to be made out of rhino horn, the handles. Apparently I think about 40% of those rhinos that died were simply for the dagger handle. It's quite ridiculous, isn't it? And you think what a magnificent animal they are.
The prehensile lip is very important to it.
Well, very much so, because out in Africa, obviously, it's their feeding tool. It's like the elephant's trunk. They're browsers, so they need to reach out and...
Almost like a hand.
Yes, it is. It's. I mean, here you see their diet. We do keep their diet as close to the wild sort of as we can. We actually ship in some browser pellets from South Africa, which isn't cheap, but it ensures that even through the winter they're actually getting pure acacia. There's a chap in the northern Transvaal that's actually, I think he gets paid to clear the bush, and he has a very clever idea of sort of making double money and making feeding pellets out of them.
Berry's the only woman in charge of a section at Howlett's and Port Lim. She thinks one of the rhinos is pregnant. Certainly, it's sensitive about strangers.
So this is Etna. She's 5 years old, and we're feeling, well, hopefully she's pregnant. I mean, she's certainly showing all the right signs, and, all right, girl.
How pregnant is she, do you think?
Well, she was mated last spring into last summer, and so we're hopeful that she could be sometime in the autumn.
Expectant rhinos need special attention.
Well, I'm just making up Etna's supper, and this is calcium tablets, and Vice Warburton's iron in it, and we give these to the ones that we suspect are pregnant, just to give them the extra vitamins and minerals that she'll be needing, and also once they've had their calves, we keep them on it. You know, it gives the baby calcium through the mum's milk. So, and we'll basically just pop them inside a bun. Like I was saying, they love their bread. And put the Vice Warburton in and just hand feed it to her, and she won't suspect a thing. Good girl. That's the medicine for the day. It's about a 15-month gestation period. And the faecal samples we were sending up to London, the results came back positive from those. So, I mean, this is like the final sign, really, that she's got stuff coming out of her teats. It's like the first day we've seen it. So we'll be keeping a really close eye on her and taking good care of her and making sure she's tucked up at night.
And the next day?
Can you feel the calf moving in there?
I haven't done with Etna so far, but with Rukwa, before she gave birth to her last calf, we did feel kicking. It's just high up here, really close to the end, like the day before.
Does that worry you? No movement?
No, not at all. Because I mean, like I say, you know, of all the, it's only been once that I really felt it. But, no, I mean, she seems fine and comfortable and happy in herself. Yeah, be more worried if her mood had changed, but she seems fine at the moment.
This is an organisation confident in its future. They're planning for new arrivals. They're investing in a new rhino house at Port Lim.
This is our fourth rhino house, and they've all got 3 or 4 bedrooms in. And we've sort of updated this one a bit. We've got underfloor heating going in, and a few new things that we haven't got in the other ones, like indoor water troughs, and we can actually move a rhino from bedroom to bedroom indoors.
Rather attractive dormer windows.
It's nice, isn't it? Yeah, I think just being along the main drive here, it's sort of trying to, you know, in keeping with the mansion and everything. Also, you can see here we're having 2 shelters, like a back-to-back shelter. They do need that privacy as well, to know that they can go somewhere where they're out of sight from the public, the other rhinos and us if need be.
You said well away from the public. Who has the priority here?
Oh, the animals, yeah, definitely.
Midnight on a road in central France. A truck is on its way to Rome to collect a newcomer for Port Lim. They've come to Rome Zoo to collect a female rhino from which Aspinall hopes to breed, to refresh the bloodlines of his own herd. The journey from Rome to Kent will take 3 days and 3 nights. Roy Smith makes his living transporting animals from zoo to zoo.
I was up at about 5 o'clock because she was very restless, started to give her some food to keep her calm.
What sort of things do you feed her then?
She'll eat all vegetables, fruits, and onions to apples. Yeah, she's 29 years old, apparently already had a calf. She's a calm animal, tame, fairly tame. We had to use some slight long-acting tranquilizers to load her because they get her a little bit upset. She's been okay on the way. She's feeding well, and the sooner we're there, the better that she can behave.
But this isn't the only arrival due at Port Lympne. The latest addition to the Aspinall family is about to make its entrance. Despite failing to detect any movement in the womb, Etna is giving birth. Everything goes according to plan. And on a sunny day, mother and daughter venture into the world outside.
She's 2 weeks old today.
Got a name?
Tana.
And how's the relationship between mother and daughter?
Oh, brilliant. She's just being really protective. She's very aware of her being, where she is. But yeah, she's just doing everything right. It's quite funny, we'll see her as being a big baby, and then when you see them with their own young, they change completely in your eyes,
It's very exciting for you, isn't it, when something like this happens?
Oh yeah, it's brilliant. Especially with Etna, she's only 5 years old, so it's great that she's given birth, but also to a female calf, and at such a young age, it's fantastic.
You hoping for more?
Yeah, one of the other young cows, Vuyu, came from South Africa. We think that she could be pregnant, and that will be later on this year. And also, some of our other cows have been running with the bull and stopped cycling, so that could be next year. So yeah, we're quite optimistic for more in the future.
Meanwhile, the new rhino has made the sea crossing from Calais to Dover. 3 days after leaving Rome, it arrives at Port Lympne.
Just help Roy there. Hold it.
Right.
Berry, do you know this rhino?
We've not met her before, no. She's been in Rome Zoo for years. She's been on her own for over 10 years. I went to Rome Zoo about 10 years ago and saw her. She was on her own then, so it's going to be interesting to see how she reacts to our lot.
How long have you been waiting for her?
We've been trying to get her for years, but the paperwork exchange and everything's been going on for almost a year now, so it's sort of quite a big event. She's 27, 20th of October, but she could still have a few breeding years in her yet, so it's the plan. Good girl, all right, lady. All right, sweetheart. All right, girl.
Berry is now responsible for 17 rhinos.
Has it been easy for you as a woman in a man's world?
Well, I don't view it like that anyway. I view it that I want to work with these animals. I suppose it is it's male-dominated, but I think if you're determined to do something in life and you want to do it badly enough, then you do.
And as if to emphasise Aspinall's confidence in the future, 2 weeks later there's more good news in the family. The tapir has given birth. Keeper Martin Ellis.
She's a Malayan tapir. Their closest relations are the horse and the rhino, the rhinoceros. So they're really a forest horse.
It's some years now since we actually bred a Malayan tapir. So we're very excited about that. It's very important that we do try and get these animals breeding within animal parks, just for the survival of the species eventually.
She's 2 weeks old. Yeah, 2 weeks old today. It's a little girl, little Linda. She's really quite important. There's very few born in captivity, very few in the UK. When she was born, she weighed 14 pounds, and in the next 3 days, she put on 6 pounds, 2 pounds a day, which is equivalent to a bag of sugar a day, really, which is quite a phenomenal growth rate. She gave birth in the middle of the day out in the paddock, which we didn't really expect at all. It's quite a number of hours before she was able to suckle. It didn't look like she was going to suckle, so I scratched her down and put the baby on the teat. So, I mean, she may well have fed without a problem, but it was easier to give her a bit of a head start.
As with all newborns, the tapir is most vulnerable in its first weeks. Its baby camouflage is superb.
When mum's off walking through the forest, or she stay close by, but the baby, if there's any danger, will just lie down close to the ground. Stiff as a board. I say that is actually surprisingly good camouflage. When she was first being enticed onto the teat, Mum rolled on her while I was in there, and baby screamed, and Mum decided it was me that had hurt her baby, and Mum came roaring towards me. So I say, although a lot of the time she didn't really look like she was taking a lot of care, she as soon as that little alarm call came out from baby, Mum turned into a ferocious animal, didn't she? And they can be really quite ferocious when they're fighting. If you hear them as a real gut roar, you know, it's almost like a lion's roar. It's a real deep, quite frightening.
We'll have a tired elephant in a minute.
Altogether, it's been a good year for the animal parks. In the summer, there was a new baby Asian elephant. He's thriving.
He's doing brilliantly. He's put on about 4 inches, hasn't he, Darren?
Yeah, about 60 pounds in weight.
60 pounds in weight he's put on in a month, and 4 inches. And he's Jasmine, one of these adults here, that's Jasmine there, isn't it? Fallen in love with him, you know, and looks after him.
And 3 months later, a new African elephant was born.
She's called Jester. She grew up within the herd. She grew up with her mother. Obviously, with a female, it's destined to be part of the group for a long time. Whereas if you breed a bull, sooner or later he'll have to be moved out. We've actually got plans now that the 2 young males would be returned to Africa. You know, the 2 young males that we bred last year will go back to Africa eventually.
I have such a beautiful house in South Africa that I'm very happy there with the gardens and everything for about a week. And I see my South African friends who come over to see me. And I have some very nice friends in South Africa, 1 or 2 Zulus included. And then after a week I start to feel restless, because here I've always got something to do. You know, I'm feeding the herbs one morning, and I'm going to visit this, and I'm going walking and feeding the monkeys, and going to Port Limor, and every day is a joy for me here. Whereas out there after a week I want to be back here, because I have to compare it with here, you see. So it's here where I'm happiest. My spirit rests here. Perfect mother, isn't she? She never had any experience of first-time birth. She's seen, I suppose you could say she's seen calves here being looked after, I don't know. I think she's just exceptionally intelligent.
What do you think you'll be doing in 10 years' time?
Hopefully looking after an extremely big herd of black rhinos, the biggest in the world. So, seeing this little lad's offspring grow up, it's an absolute sort of beacon of hope for the way I think zoos in the future should be run. This is the way to keep black rhinos. They can do 40 miles an hour. This is the sort of space they need. It's common sense. So, I think it's the way forward, and what a great example. And what fabulous animals.
You get quite emotional about it.
Yeah, I think everyone that works are very passionate about their animals. But you have to obviously bear in mind that you're going to get losses and ups and downs. I mean, we've had 9 successful births here, but we've had a few losses as well. But you know, it's all part and parcel of the job. But yeah, it's like I said before. You know, these guys are family.
The job isn't a pleasure if all you're doing is slinging them a lump of meat and then going off and having a cup of tea. The pleasure is seeing them like that, is seeing them playing in the pond, enjoying their lives and thinking, I've contributed just a little bit to their life. Whether or not ultimately you've contributed anything to world conservation, that's immaterial. That really isn't my job. My job is to look after my animals here as best I can.
Mr. Aspinall, he's led the way. I wouldn't work here if I didn't agree with a lot of the things that he does. And I have a tremendous respect for him as well. Any man that does what he does, and I've seen him in with the animals, I've been there with him, and he has a presence, and the animals know it.
Unless we can feel for these companions in evolution, they're lost. It seems absurd that what we should feel about them should have any importance to their future, but unfortunately, by some miscarriage of evolutionary justice, that is what this condition we find ourselves in.
Over 50 gorillas, nearly 25 tigers, the elephants. Yeah, to do it all, yeah. Who else? With no thought of money, or just with a thought of the animals. I mean, the only complaint is that they haven't got quite enough room, but then they could never have enough room.
Yeah, I come from Nordic stock, Anglo-Saxon and Nordic, Northern European stock, and I'm warrior stock. My father was a soldier, my grandfather was a soldier, and I'm certain that way back my ancestors were pirates and Vikings and this sort of thing. And we believed, all my ancestors believed in posthumous fame as being very important. By that I mean, not that one becomes a cult or anything silly like Elvis Presley or anything, but inside the family and the circle of friends who knew one, that for a few generations the legend survives and the stories about one are told. I'd love to be people coming to weep at my shrine, because that would mean that they would believe what I only want them to believe what I've written.
Everybody's worried, mainly because everybody loves him. So it's sad for everybody. I'm sure Howletts and Port Lim will be well catered for. I don't think anybody has any doubt of that, but it's Mr. Aspinall that everybody is so fond of him that that is the worry. It's for him, not for anything else.
What's important is that the colonies live on. And I'd love to be able to determine what happens when I'm dead, as everyone does. We know that that's impossible, and that things won't be the same. My brother James and then Damien will step into my shoes and try and do everything that I did, and think always what would John or what will Daddy have done in this position.
This is his life. I mean, this is his number one family, and we all come second, and we're happy to be second. That's always been the case.
You mean that?
Yeah.
Why do you think that is?
I think I can't answer why. You'd have to look deep into my father's soul to find out why. I don't know why, but he's this is everything. And this is his passion. This is his life, and there's no doubt the animals come first with him, and he's a unique man.